for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heck of a play. Caught him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. You lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
I thought you already did that. Yeah, so Liam definitely.
Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Are we live? Okay, we are live again, episode 3. As you can tell, my setting's a little bit different. I'm actually out at a cottage with the fam, enjoying some relaxing time, but there's no way I'm going to pass up an opportunity to talk to the boys here. So, boys, how we doing? We had our tournament on, or our golf challenge on Friday. Looks like we raised just over $2,000, which is double our goal.
Amazing.
Double
Amazing,
our goal.
guys.
And, everyone that supported us, we appreciate that, of course. Chad was grinding the DMs to get us whole sponsors. So, Chad, appreciate it. Don't think that your work didn't go noticed, man. Like, that was big that you pulled for us.
And no matter how bad you played, Shane, everybody ends up winning, right?
Well, fuck you, motherfucker. I finished second.
First time in his life.
Yeah, first time in my life I ever finished second. But you know what? Like, me and Steve had him and Daryl down. Was it 3? Were we up 3-1 or?
Yeah, 3 with 3 to play.
Yeah,
and we toughed it out.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then we had some like fake ass putting challenge at the end that wasn't the same as anybody else's or the other ones, but it doesn't matter. It all happened. It was for a good cause. We're gonna do it again next year. I've already started brainstorming ideas to get more people involved so that we can do more teams. So I think that would be a lot of fun. But when we're talking about a lot of fun, obviously we always have to make sure that we're reaching out to our friends over at CoolBet. They provide a lot of fun for every sport. I mean, yesterday, after I had a couple beers over at the Lindsay Brewing Company, I decided to throw a little parlay together for baseball. I won a couple hunts just because. I don't even remember which games I picked, but I remember that it hit last night, and it's because the Dodgers won.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Obviously, thanks, CoolBet. Let's go on to preseason. We've had how many rookie quarterbacks play over the last 4 days? 8, 9?
Yeah, if you count some second-year guys in their first starts, it'd be pretty high.
So this was a pretty anticipated thing for Chad and I, who 3 years ago sat on my couch and watched Trevor Lawrence throw a touchdown pass. And we're like, wow, this guy's going to be really fucking good at the NFL. So, Chad, we're going to start off with the piece de resistance. How did you feel Trevor Lawrence first preseason game?
I thought he was going to do a little bit better. I'll be bluntly honest with it. I think he got like a crash course on what Tua was talking about last year. There's college open and then there's NFL open. Mm-hmm. And he definitely held the ball a bit too long. Also, his O-line sucks dick.
That was college open O-line. It was they were wide the fuck open.
So he's not used to playing with that kind of talent, right? Like he's
and I think
his line at Clemson was better than that.
Well, that too. But I think it's just the speed of the defensive line. Like 4 seconds in the NCAA, that's 2 seconds in the NFL.
Right.
When he had time, he looked phenomenal. When he was under distress, which I think that's for every quarterback, you're going to look great. He put the ball in good places, and he put the ball to make able for his guys to be able to make plays on it. Outside of holding the ball a bit long, I think that'll come as time goes. Like he's probably going to play every preseason game. He has to. So it's nice to see how it's going to adjust. And at the end of the day, it's week 1 of probably his 20-year career. Let's see how it really goes.
Right.
I enjoyed seeing him get sacked on the very first play of his potential 20-year career. In the division, it's always nice to see that happening, right?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I could see why why you would want to have it going on that way, but was there something that stood out for you? Like, I know that you were all over Zach Wilson. Like, do you think that Zach Wilson was the guy? Or should I ask a better question? Is Trevor Lawrence right now better than Daniel Jones?
Stop it. Okay, so yeah, we did before coming on here. I did talk about Zach Wilson. I do think that Zach Wilson put on more of a show than I expected him to put on. I think he played better.
Okay.
Corey Davis had a really nice out route to Corey Davis, and we all know the out route is going to be one of the spread far out too is going to be one of the hardest throws that a quarterback can have, and he put it on the money. So if one of your throws in your 10 to 15 in your first preseason game is going to be a deep hard out like that, and you complete it, that's a big check mark, right? As far as like some other rookie quarterbacks, I messaged Chad and I said Justin Fields, right? You know, like what's he looking like? I was box score watching at that point. I come back to actually watch the film on it, and there was some good things. Okay, he scored a really nice rushing touchdown, right? But I think that they're like Chad said, a hell of a lot of check down, and I think that's what Bears offense is going to have to get used to with what they're running over there right now.
He also did have Allen Robinson.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't have the possession
who's a
guy,
stud, and like you don't have your best receiver, a guy that can stretch the field, can run the deep to intermediate routes. He didn't have that guy. He had to make some plays with his legs, but that was given. That's what he's done his whole career. But he doesn't look to run, which is awesome. He just extends a wow, I cannot talk today. Extends the play. And then he still looks to throw the ball, which is the one thing I really liked about him.
Right.
And like I've said to Shane the whole time, like it was a 1 and 2 horse race the whole time. It blows my mind how far he fell in the draft. And Chicago got a really good one. And the only thing I noticed, I said it to Kalen, was it's the same thing that happened last year with Matt Nagy. He's getting the plays in way too late.
Right.
How do you expect a quarterback with 12 seconds who's never been in an NFL game to make these reads, get his pre-snaps? Like he was still in the huddle with 12 seconds left. They haven't even broke the huddle yet. Like you're setting this kid up to fail doing things like that.
And you're not letting him use like the playmaking ability he has to come up to the line, and at that point you can't change anything even if you wanted to. I mean, I don't know what kind of packages they would have installed for the preseason, but you'd have to assume something pretty basic, right?
You'd think so, yeah. Like there has to be something pretty simple for him. But it's just in general, like I said, like, maybe they're not even letting him audible yet. Maybe that's why he was going up there so late, so he doesn't get in his own head. But I just felt the plays were kind of like on his first series, they had a false start and a delay game.
Mm-hmm.
Strictly because he rushed the snap count because he was running out of time, and because on the play before he didn't get the ball off.
Right.
And that comes down to the head coach.
Yeah, and like Justin Fields, like I have made no like bones about it. I think that Justin Fields 100% should have been the second overall pick. Same way that Chad's saying right now. But when it came down to it, a guy that I really liked in the draft was Kellen Mond. And I was telling Chad, I was excited to see him play. And he didn't do anything fabulous. He didn't do anything like amazing, but he stood firm in the pocket. He didn't look out of place. And as Chad pointed out, I didn't even notice it. He was running a no-huddle offense.
Yeah, in preseason in the first game, incredible.
Right.
Now that may also be kind of partial to how was their offense running in college? There was a lot of hurry up. If that's what you're comfortable with, and you're like going to the line like that quite quickly, and it could also be very quickly or similar to how McVay was running St. Louis when he or not St. Louis was St. Louis when he got there. Still, I don't even know. It must have been when he took over with Jared Goff, because remember he used to get to the line. And then they would let McVay kind of read the defense, and because the mic cuts off at 13 seconds or something like that, so he was able to talk to him up to that point. So he'd have him maybe read the defense, then make a play call. So was that what was happening there with Kellen Mond?
No, it was a natural 2-minute drill. Like it was in the last 2 minutes of the first half they had him out there, and then as he played, he just stayed on.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
so it was a true 2-minute drill.
Even when he was in college, like he wouldn't have been doing any of that stuff. They were completely pro style with Chubba Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
And even before that, I can't remember the coach before that, but I mean, he stood out. But I wanted to save this one for the end, and I know that Chad has a lot to say about it. So we talked a lot about Trey Lance and how we weren't really convinced on him being the third overall pick. When Zach Wilson became the second overall pick, we just assumed that the 49ers were either going to go Mac Jones or Justin Fields, and of course they went Trey Lance. But Chad, how did Trey Lance do in his first game?
I wasn't impressed. I kind of looked it up today because I wanted to have. Like, I looked at the box score and it said 5 of 14, and I saw someone post about it. And some guy was like, "Well, his receivers dropped 3 balls. Okay, so that would have made him 8 for 14." But he also had 3 interceptions dropped. So he got luck. So we'll just call that a wash. So he went 5 for 14.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, he only made 2 plays. The one was an 80-yard bomb, so everybody thinks it's sexy and everybody's excited about it.
Right.
80-yard touchdown. The other one was a check down to the tight end, and the guy took it 25 or 30 yards up the sideline. So he threw for 130 yards, but 110 of them were on 2 plays.
Right.
Yeah.
He fumbled a ball. He didn't move around that great. And he just kept holding on to it. Like the same thing I said about Trevor Lawrence. Maybe like playing at North Dakota State, I'm assuming there wasn't the world's top talent at DB out there, so you could make some plays. But when you get to this level, you can't do that. Like you're playing in the NFC West. They're going to eat you alive.
Right.
Like I think Jamie just found out how safe his job was.
Okay, so that's your official decision. You told me I had to wait until we were on here, but you're telling me that Jimmy G is the guy. He's the
Jimmy
one.
G is the week 1 starter all day
Okay.
long.
There we go. So we talked a lot about guys' first game so far, and we're talking out in the West. So let's stay out in the West there and talk about somebody potential last game. I think it was riding off into the sunset for him. Nathan Peterman got to play the whole game. Do you think this is finally Gruden and Mayock saying, we've had you long enough. You've been a good, studious kid, but this is your last game. Go play your friggin' hearts out and see who picks you up after we cut you. I don't think he's going to get picked up, mind you, either.
Yeah. The only reason I'm going to say that's not his last game, and he'll probably play in the other preseason games, I'm not saying he's making the roster, is because they want camp arms. Mariota's hurt. You don't want to overexert a guy like Derek Carr, and I really don't know who else is there with them. I know that, is it tomorrow that they have to, every team has to cut 5 players?
I believe so, yeah.
By
It was
tomorrow,
either
like,
Tuesday's
today
the
or
beginning of the
forward.
work week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's by Tuesday. You have to be down to 85. I wouldn't anticipate a guy like Nate Peterson being a guy that gets cut, only because you want extra guys to throw the ball around. And again, he's not a practice squad guy. I'm sure he's not even practice squad eligible, and there's no way that guy cracks a roster. So yeah, let him play. Let him see what's up. Let your offensive line try and pick up the stunts, and if they miss one and it gets fucking rocked, who cares?
Exactly.
I just feel bad for the kid. Like, why hasn't someone just cut him yet? Let him just like go home, go back and coach high school football, move on with his life, instead of this sad story that like got hack jobs like you and I are all talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you're him, like, what is that guy making this year? Like $550K?
No, more than that.
Like, if you make the roster, it's like whatever, right? So you're gonna hang on to that for as long as you can. Like the assholes like us that want to talk shit about him, he's just laughing. Like he makes more than all of us combined. so fuck him, you know.
He makes more than us for every interception he's thrown.
Yeah, well, exactly. And he, I don't know. He's an afterthought to me. I probably would have never even uttered his name if it wasn't for Kalen bringing it up. But I mean, it's a decent one to bring up. Like, you know, something that's not an afterthought to me is when I get hungry and I'm sitting at home, I want to get Joe Cool's takeout pizza. I get the kitchen sink, who also, those guys were a big part of our golf challenge. So we appreciate them. We're going to shout them out. They're not an afterthought the way that Nate Peterson is. Peterson or Peterman? What did I say?
Doesn't matter. He's out of the
Yeah.
league. He's a bum.
That pretty much tells you all you need to know about that dude.
What
But
about Mac Jones?
Mac Jones,
That guy looked good.
it seemed like
That bag of milk is organic, like grass-fed cow milk. Like that is good milk.
Yeah.
That is top dollar milk.
yeah, that guy seemed like he was. Like I said, dude, it looked like he was running the offense. Nothing flashed, nothing popped. I think that he is as advertised. He is not going to lose you games. He is probably going to win you a few extra games. He's accurate. He's calm. He's poised, and he doesn't stink.
Sounds a
But-
heck of a lot like he's the opposite of the other 1A quarterback there.
He has a name. His name is Cam. Cam.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. So that's another interesting one. So we were talking about Peterson.
I didn't know if you were going to say Stidham.
Peterman.
It could have been Stidham as
Yeah,
the 1A.
Look, I mean, if you're Jared Stidham right now, you are in the exact same camp as Nate Peterson, except for you just haven't played in the NFL. Like, you are never going to be the New England Patriots quarterback. You are never going to be a guy that plays quarterback for Bill Belichick. He put you into what, 1 or 2 games? You sucked. So you're toast. I mean, you're probably the clipboard quarterback this year.
Dude, he can be Chase Daniels. That guy's making a killing.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least a guy like Chase Daniels can say like he never had to be the starter and he just fucking bounces around, makes a pile of money. I'll bet you Chase Daniels has made over $50 million in his career.
I think, I know it's over 40. I know that much.
Yeah. Liam, do you want to look up Chase Daniels' career earnings? Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I think that we're going to hate Mac Jones eventually because he's going to be with Belichick and the Patriots are probably going to be good again. I'm not prepared to say that they're a 10.5 win team like it's listed on Coolbet right now, but there are some pretty interesting futures bets that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So we'll go back to talking some of these quarterbacks. And Liam, are you ready?
Yeah, so Chase Daniels in 12 seasons has earned $37.8 million.
There it is.
And
Bingo.
he has no stats, basically.
And he's got 2 career wins, so roughly $18.9 million per win.
What
Giddy
a
up.
fucking stud.
Yeah, he's doing way better than we are.
Yo,
Mhm.
Nate Peterman could only wish to hold Chase Daniels' jockstrap.
Yeah, which is produced by Toboggan Beer, of course. Yeah, so here's a couple of bets I want you guys to write down and we'll circle back to. So the Atlanta Falcons right now are a plus 900 to win that division. Plus 900. Okay.
That's generous.
Yeah.
I love how he's going to beat this drum on the Falcons, man. You did
Yeah.
it last show. You're going to do
Yes.
it again, man.
Yes, I will continue to beat that drum. Another one.
Nick, where you at, boy?
The Steelers are playing plus money to be over 8.5 wins. It's
I'll
like
take that action.
plus 130 right now for the Steelers to be over 8.5 wins. Now, why that's significant and why I think that's a slam dunk home run already is Mike Tomlin has never had an under 500 season. So you add in the extra game and automatically they're 9-8. So I don't know how your math is, but 9 is more than 8.5. So we'll call that one a win.
Playing a weak
Also-
division in the NFC.
Also, Josh Allen plus 1,200 to be the MVP.
Oh, wow.
I saw Dak was a plus 18.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott had 20 touchdowns through 4.5 games last year.
hmm
He was the best quarterback in football last year.
It almost doesn't make sense, right?
Like it's worth just throwing $50 on both those guys.
Right. Yeah. Of course. And like I was looking at this Falcons thing because I told you Big Fudge is here, and I was talking to Palmer yesterday. Those guys are NFC guys. Big Fudge is a Bucks guy, and I'm telling them like at plus 900, I could put $20 on the Falcons and win 200 at the end of the year. And I kept waiting for them to make a case for the Falcons to not win, and of course, like their defense sucks. They're this, they're that. Matt Ryan's a piece of shit. Like, he's really not, though. He's really not. And, like, you got Kyle Pitts there. You got Hayden Hurst. They got Mike Davis, who's a little bowling ball running back, who, at this point in their careers, is Mike Davis that big of a downgrade to what Todd Gurley was last year?
No,
Like,
no.
I don't think so.
And so here's one thing that I'll say about the defense. And I really don't think the Falcons are going to do well. Okay. But here's where I can maybe help your argument as far as why the defense is going to be okay. Dean Pease knows how to pull bad defenses into okay defenses. The Titans defense didn't change personnel wise year to year. All what happened was Dean Pease left the team and took a year off in retirement. Everything else was the same. And yet the Titans defense completely collapsed when he was gone. And I mean, I mentioned it during the Steelers game and the Hall of Fame game, how they were blitzing, like, the old Steelers type blitzes. I don't know if you actually watched the Titans and Falcons game, but the Falcons were blitzing. They were blitzing like shit, and they were doing the Dean Pease nickel blitz like crazy too, like the historical play that he loves to run. So if they can bring pressure on the outside, they do have some speed at the corner. It's unique to blitz as a corner, and not everyone knows how to do it and do it properly and make proper reads and how to get to the right edge spot. But I liked what he brought, even though they lost and we were able to score some points on them. He put a physical team on the field, and Falcons haven't seen that since probably the first or second year Dan Quinn was there. So it's nice for them.
Yeah, so exactly. So you are starting to get on the hype train that I have been.
I still think they're going to fall apart.
Conducting. Let's stick in that division for a second. And a Canadian guy from Oklahoma State made his NFL debut, running back Chubba Hubbard. And it looked like, and again, I haven't seen the tape. I kind of took it as Josh's birthday present to talk about this one. But it is Chubba Hubbard and Christian McCaffrey. Are they a legitimate 1-2 punch at running back? Have you guys seen any of this? I saw a couple of the highlights, but highlights or whatever.
I've seen this kid play in high school. I've seen this kid play in college. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. I think he led the nation rushing last year. And the year before, he was up in the top 5 again. So right there, it means he can carry a load. He can be the guy, even though he's not going to have to with a guy like McCaffrey there. But they need someone so that McCaffrey doesn't get 400 touches. He's not built to take 400 touches. If they want to give him, if they want to throw the ball to him 100 times, maybe only hand the ball off to him 100 to 150. There's no reason for that guy to be getting more than 15 to 20 touches a game. And that's where they have to kind of keep that wheelhouse in for him. So bringing a kid like Chubba, who brings in the same kind of elusiveness and the same kind of movements, therefore it works. You don't got to change your offense. You don't got to change your play calling. And you can just go out there and do your thing.
Right.
Because they're also going to bring someone in to pound the ball regardless.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that they're going to be in a position in most games to be able to utilize 2 running backs properly. I mean, a guy like McCaffrey is going to get a lot of checkdowns, and Sam Darnold is going to complete a lot of passes over the course of the year to a Christian McCaffrey, but they're not going to be winning a lot of games. I mean, I'm going to put their ceiling at 7 wins. So I don't see them needing 2 running backs.
Well, you mentioned like, are they a 1-2 punch? Like you've already got a 1-2 with Christian McCaffrey. Like I know the chat has said he can't do the 400 touches. He's a very unique player. I don't think he reminds me so much of LaDainian Tomlinson. Catches the ball so well, but can go in between the tackles just as well. He doesn't need a whole lot of rest. He is coming off of a down injury year, but he hasn't historically been injured. And he was worked hard when he played at Stanford. Was it Stanford or Boston College? It was Stanford. Yeah. So he was worked hard there too. He could put in the workload. I don't think he only needs 70 touches potentially from that rookie to kind of help him out a little bit. But he's enough as a 1-2. He's such a unique talent. It's just a freak injury that took him out last year. So.
Right. Well, again, I think that they're the 3rd best team in that division, and that would probably leave the Saints probably at 4th.
Yeah, they're dog shit.
Yeah, Saints fans probably aren't going to be too happy about that, but you guys want to talk about the Blue Jays for a second and then circle back and talk a little bit more football towards the end?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm bringing this up because, again, we let our intern Josh write a couple of points that we were going to talk about today because I'm away, Chad's at work, Caleb was at work, so we figured
it's also Josh's birthday. He had to step up.
As a birthday present to Josh, we let him write the rundown. So he said, "Are the slumping Blue Jays losing it?" Like, the answer is no. They're not slumping. They lost 2 fucking games in a row, bud. Like, what sport are we talking about?
Well, they did lose 3.
Okay, so yeah, fair enough. They did lose 3 in a row of the 162 games that they're going to play. They have also had like a 10-game losing streak throughout the course of the year. But I want to talk more specifically about Saturday's game. And Saturday's game, they were winning. They were up 3-2. George Springer went to the wall to make the play, hurt his ankle. It was tough to tell if he was being a bitch and faking it or if he was actually like legitimately hurt. It seems like he's day to day, so I'm gonna say let's just call it somewhere in the middle. He maybe exaggerated the fact that it looked like he got shot in the leg. But the second that happened, they were still leading. I looked over. I was watching with Ethan. I was like, all right, well, the Jays are gonna lose because you see your emotional leader get carried off of the field. 100% chance you're losing. These guys are so concerned about what's going to happen next. And is he going to play? Did he tear his ACL? Did he rip his Achilles? Blah, blah, blah. Coming out of the game Sunday, I bet the house. I threw every chip that I had on the Blue Jays for Sunday because even if they knew that he was going to be out 40, 50 games, well, now all those young guys are going to rally around it and be like, let's do this for George. Let's pull the shit together. Let's have the team functioning by the time he comes back. Kind of like they did in spring training. But you guys can kind of speak to it as well. I'm curious what your thoughts are. You see the heart of your team kind of go down.
You mentioned talking about the emotional leader. I viewed, and I'm not a Jays fan, so as an outsider looking at the team, I viewed George Springer as the emotional leader. And I had somebody kind of counter me earlier and say that Vladdy was. I said, Vladdy's just been there. Like, he's just started to kind of get remember, he was taking a lot of heat for being a big and overweight guy just a year and a half ago, right? So He's only just starting to win the fans back over and have this fantastic year. George Springer was brought in to be that player. He's got the experience. He has the talent. He has the mojo to do it at the right time. When they needed a home run, when they needed a big hit, he brings that to the plate. So yeah, that's an emotional big loss for him to step down or be hurt like that. As you mentioned, we don't know how long he's going to be out for, and they're chasing like they really do. Could this be a big step back for them? I don't know, man. They did lose 3 in a row. They were 3-4 on their West Coast trip. You mentioned that they're historically bad out there, so I'm not going to go in and put a whole lot of weight into that. Let's see what they do from here on out. Let's give them the next 7 to 8 games and see what happens.
Right.
It's time to see who they really are.
Yeah.
Like, you brought these kids in, you brought them in together, you kept them together at the trade deadline when everybody thought someone was the odd man out. Let's see what these kids are made of.
Did you take a shot?
Are they? No.
Oh, I thought you were taking a shot at me. I was like, fuck yeah, I did talk a lot about trading people, but
I did too. I literally said that Bijou would be the odd man out.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see who they are, and then now you're going to see what you actually have. If you don't make the playoffs, it's not the end of the world. These kids aren't gone. The season wasn't a waste. But if these kids can't fight, then we have a problem. And I think that's what they have to see where they're at. Like, you're going to go down into a grind. Just say he only misses if he misses 10 games or 15 games, you're still going to see what you have, and it might not actually just might not ruin your whole season.
Well, I think Chad's a little preoccupied over there, and I'm not going to blow up his spot, but I think we all have an idea of what's happening. But yeah, I mean,
easily distracted.
Yeah. Hey, every once in a while you got to see a balloon, right? Yeah, I don't feel any differently about the J season right now as I did them going into this trip. When it comes down to it, I believe that they were 3-4 on the trip.
Yeah, 3-4.
So you go to the other side.
I think you walked into it like 5-3, or maybe even 6-3. Actually, walking into it.
And historically, you don't play that well over there. So let's just say George Springer doesn't get hurt there. You probably win Saturday. You probably win Sunday. Whatever. You get out of there. The difference is 1 game, but it doesn't seem like Springer is going to the DL. We'll probably know a little bit more tomorrow, but as of right now, they've listed him as day-to-day, and if you're going to put him on the DL, you'd assume that you'd want to recall somebody pretty quick. So I'd say check the news and notes tomorrow morning and see where he's at.
And when do they play next? Like, if he's even just sitting in the sidelines, then I mean, if they haven't flown him back home to go get checked by their own doctors at this point, right? Then
I think they're on their way back to Toronto, right? I honestly don't know who their next game is against, but
Washington. They got to play Washington, then it's Detroit.
Okay, so are they going into Washington? Or are they going?
I think they play in Washington and then they come back home for the Detroit series.
Okay, so it's a high likelihood that he won't play in Washington only because they don't have a DH. So
yeah,
I guess if you're going to retroact it, look at him playing probably like a week today.
Yeah.
and you potentially have him go on the DL, or IL. I don't want to mispronounce anything. Yeah, I mean, other than that, for baseball, there's the only other baseball news that stands out to me, and this is going to mean maybe nothing to Chad, maybe something to him, but the Padres are making a very interesting decision. Not only are they about to get Jake Arrieta, but they have decided to take their potential future shortstop, potential future Hall of Fame player. I mean, we're jumping the gun here a little bit, kind of like we put Josh Allen in the Hall of Fame last year. And because of wear and tear, they have decided shortstop is not for you. You're going to the outfield, pal.
I mean,
And
here's
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what's really crazy is what you look for in a shortstop. I think we said this many episodes ago when I was trying to describe what I thought the ideal shortstop was somebody who was incredibly athletic, who's very, very agile, and who usually swings a really good bat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is everything you got in Tatis. Now, is he beat up all the time? Yeah. Outfield, are they hurting in outfield? I don't even think they are. They actually have some really good outfielders.
Yeah,
I get the protecting him thing, but it's crazy, man. What are they going to replace him with? I think that I actually did, when they were mentioning this, I think I did read that they do have a fairly deep farm system and have a fairly good shortstop upcoming, right?
I mean, they sucked for a long time, right? So
yeah,
for a long time, you can get picks, and when people are pilfering the players that you do have, you're going to acquire their picks. But I honestly don't know who they're replacing Tatis with at short. Are we saying that defensively he's a generational player? I don't think so. So I do think that what could happen is he makes a couple stupid plays in the outfield because he's not used to playing there at a big league level. And that starts to affect you mentally. And then when you're affected mentally, you're not right at the plate. And I wouldn't want something like that to happen to him. Or you start to question yourself and you don't steal a base.
Who should be questioning themselves is San Diego. All the money they've invested into that team, and you're taking your franchise player and you're having to shift him to the outfield. Something's wrong there. Your training staff, something's doing it improper. Teach him the fundamentals. Don't get hurt that way.
Right, exactly. And
yeah, you tell him, Kalen.
Take your
trainer, kinesiologist.
Shove it up your ass, huh?
Yeah, take care of your body, you bum.
As our coach Kaslik just popped on, I saw him just pop on. That guy taught us the fundamentals of football, so we know all about fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So let's circle back to football because I know not everyone's into baseball. Chad's not into baseball till probably September unless we bet on something. There's been a lot of stuff kind of going on in football, but one thing that we got on Kalen about pretty good on Thursday, Chad, after you had taken off was how would you feel if Sam Ehlinger actually had to be the Colts quarterback? And how would you feel if he actually was successful as the Colts quarterback? So I want to know, we had some stats. We had some stuff pulled out. It looked like Ehlinger and Eason went pretty toe-to-toe, man. So
Eason looked really good, man. I hate seeing that.
So, Chad, I know we talked about Ian Book on the Saints, but if you were Kalen, how would you feel about Sam Ehlinger, your 4-year starter at your favorite college team, coming in to play for your most hated rival?
So when you first said you got on Kalen on Thursday, I thought you were going to say it was for time management. That's where I thought this was going. I had to do it one time, man. But it's tough, right? I know how it feels to be I'm a diehard Notre Dame fan. I don't want Ian Book to have a shit career. I want him to have a great career. So for you to be sitting there watching this guy literally be on the team that you literally despise.
Oh, more than anything in this world.
And they're a good team. That's the word. At least the Saints suck. He's on a good football team with a great running game and a phenomenal defense. They're going to be in football games. And you have to play him twice a year. I don't know for you, but I said for the Ian Book thing was, I hope that he just sits on the bench for 4 years and learns a lot. And then they just send him out the door, and then he has a great career.
That's right.
I
No,
just
give me
can't- I can't
5
watch
years. Give me 5 years when my mental state starts to wander a little bit there, and I don't have to think about it as much.
Yeah.
But like I think at the same time, like you watch this kid grow.
Yeah.
You know that like you know the personal shit he went through as well with his brother.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want him to sit on the bench and have a shit career. Like you want him to flourish and like take advantage of this opportunity. So it's like, I feel bad for you, man. Like at least New Orleans isn't good.
Yeah, it's really tough. I'm a double-edged sword over here. I honestly have said that I would never ever cheer for a Colt ever. It doesn't matter if they came from Tennessee and went there. I would never do it. So I haven't done it yet for Sam. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, unfortunately. If we're staying on the Colts game, though, fellas, what do you think about that shitty penalty? The taunting.
Oh, penalties.
No fun
in
league, man.
preseason, yeah. They're making it a point of emphasis, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I get why you wouldn't want like people to do what who on the Bucks was taunting Tyreek Hill again?
Oh, it was
Antoine Winfield.
It's Winfield.
Yeah,
I got a shirt made of it.
Yeah. I could understand why you'd maybe want that out, but like for a guy, like one of the biggest points of emphasis that they were going off of was Jarvis Landry stood up in that Steelers playoff game and spun the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
That's not taunting, man. That's just like this guy just made a play. Their fucking city just won their first playoff game since most of us were born.
Mhm.
And you're gonna penalize the guy and take the catch away?
Well, it's,
I don't know, man.
So McAfee said today about this poor kid in Indy. You know, he's a undrafted kid coming out of Charlotte, trying to make a team, carries 8 people on his back. Who's not going to be hyped about that, man? Like that might be the only play you'll ever have on tape. It very well might be. Why would you
Right.
not want to be excited about that? And there's seriously a far different level of taunting when you talk about Randy Moss mooning fans or pretending to moon fans and standing, or even like Juju when he jacked up Burfict in that run block and standing over top of him. I mean, that's a different type of taunt than what this kid did after carrying 8 people on
That
his
was a
back.
statement, not a
5'8".
taunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so Juju Smith-Schuster can be on the Steelers and suck for the next 30 years. I'm cool with it because he made that play.
Oh, I bet 100%. But mind you, I understand where the league's going, where maybe they don't want something like that. You injured a player and then stood over top of him versus I
Remember when
carried
you
8 people
danced
on
on
my
a
back.
field and you thought it was okay? Don't start with me, Kalen.
Yeah. Have you guys watched The Malice in the Palace?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Chad, have you seen it yet?
No.
Okay, so you gotta
Sounds
go
like
check
a
it
TV
out.
show.
It's actually on Netflix. It's about that fight between
Ron
the
Artest
Pacers and
Detroit
yeah,
Pistons.
when they went into the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty wild. Like they show it from all kinds of different angles. They show all the different police reports, and the reason I'm bringing it up is like, if you're a fan and you are able to do whatever you want at this game, and clearly those guys crossed the line, and the guys that crossed the line paid the price. Yeah, Jermaine O'Deal pretty much would have killed this dude if he connected with the punch that he laid on him. But what I say, if I'm gonna go back to the Jarvis Landry thing because I found that to be completely absurd, and I'm a Steelers fan. But a guy catching a huge play, coming up after a 50-50 ball and spinning it, come on, man! Like, and these guys are able to get beers thrown at them. They're able to get popcorn. You know, tons of shit gets thrown at you. You go to places like Buffalo, Cleveland. I don't know how crazy it gets in Tampa. I don't know how crazy it gets in Tennessee, but you know, like I will say, like I've been in Pittsburgh and like the fans are pretty relaxed there. But I can only think of the way that the fans can act at some of these games and all the crazy shit that they can do. And you're telling me the guy that's playing in the game can't do absolutely anything. And it just made it all full circle for me when I watched that Netflix special. And Chad, you got to check it out. It's only an hour, so you don't have to pay that much attention to it. But all the shit that these guys went through, all the crazy shit that happened like during the course of it, and the way that the media portrayed the entire thing is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Like, you remember that fight, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah. and-
That was before he was Metal World Peace.
oh, long before, yeah.
Well, yeah. He was a thug back then.
Yeah,
But what kind of that they're walking a real fine line here, the NFL. But they were called a no fun league for many years. They finally bring back in the touchdown celebration being okay. You allow defenses to run up and down the field and pose in front of cameras at the end of the field. You even put your own camera in there specifically for the teams to be able to
that
do
makes
that
the money
posing.
because they sold the camera.
But yeah.
Right.
But how is it much different than the taunt here? I mean, you're walking that fine line. When does it become this taunt on the field, and when does it become this I'm just celebrating a big play kind of thing? Again, I think it's just crap. Let the guys play it out. They're adults at this point. They know how to be players on the field, man. It's shit. That's bad play calling. It's going to slow the game down. Why do you want to give yards away? Offenses are already getting chunk yardage at this point.
Right, exactly. And fuck, man.
I want to see what happens when the DB who doesn't make the play with the receiver drops the ball and he runs down the field screaming like he just won the game, if they're going to flag it. Because it happens every single game. The DB thinks he made the biggest play that's ever happened, and the receiver just dropped an overthrown ball.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you going to flag that 15 yards and get the offensive first down? Because if you're not, do not do it when the offensive guy spins the ball.
100%. And when I was following all the Twitter, like the Zebras, they have their own Twitter handle, and so they can talk to the fans directly. So fans were asking, is this ever going to get eased up? Like when we went to the pass interference calls, is this just a trial and then you're going to pull it back? This is here to stay. And McAfee talked about that today too. Once they get in with these rules, they do not just get rid of them like that. These things are going to stick around, and basically it's up to the players to just start to fall in line and stop doing what they've been doing for years. And I think it's shit. It's ruining the game. Even Bud Selig, but McAfee talked about Bud Selig is totally fine with the taunting. Let players play, right? These boys football players only get 2 to maybe 12 years sometimes of playing football to play the game. Let them play the game, right?
Yeah, if they took taunting out of baseball, there would never be a home run again. Because they would have to take off everybody's home run. Nobody has a normal home run trot. Everybody flips their bat. Like some of these assholes are like doing cartwheels over third base. Like they're having fun and nobody is watching. Whereas the NFL, everybody is paying attention. Everybody watches the NFL. If you don't watch the NFL, you're probably not the kind of person I want to sit down and have a drink with, to be honest. Like, if you have no interest in football, and for it to be like so policed and so, I don't know, man. I think it's bullshit. We're going to talk more about it. Obviously, there's going to be some stupid plays that happen, which is great for people like us who it'll give us something to talk about because we are far too dim-witted to come up with shit to talk about ourselves. We just have to wait for shit to come up and react to it. Now, I'm going to stick on football, but I'm going to go to college football for a second. So we've talked ad nauseum about Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. But have you guys seen this coalition that's being formed?
Super conferences?
So the Big Ten, ACC, and the Pac-12, they're not talking about merging their conferences, but what they're talking about doing is merging an alliance so that anything that's ever voted on between the Power 5 conferences, they hold 42 votes versus the SEC would have 16. So no matter what the SEC wants to be the most powerful, they want to control all the everything that's going on. So no matter what, these guys would be able to just kibosh anything that they ever want to do. So it is going to lead to a little bit of their conferences playing each other a little bit more. It's not going to be redrawing them or having, Clemson isn't going to be flying to USC every year, but it will lead to a few different matchups. But Chad, as a Notre Dame guy, so you have no conference. Like how do you feel about something like that?
It's probably going to really hurt us. Because now if those guys are tying in against each other, that's going to cut into our games of where we fill the rest of our schedule. Because right now I think we have our 6 guaranteed games every year with like our rival schools. And then we fill in the other 6. And we have to make a schedule that has X amount of contenders in it, top 25 teams, because we need that to give ourselves a chance to go to the college football playoff. If these guys have their already pretty much alliance, we'll call it, and they have to play so many games together. Well, if you already have 4 top 25 games, are you going to go jump on and play Notre Dame? No one in those conferences needs TV ratings.
Right.
There's like it's not benefiting them to come play a top 7 ranked Notre Dame team to lose their potential top 10 spot.
Right.
So that's where I'm concerned. Like I don't want that, but I understand why they're doing it because the SEC is calling their shots and saying this is how it's going to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, all this shit it's basically a moot point at this time because we're looking at 2025 is when everything kind of kicks in. But with this Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12 thing, there's nothing saying that they can't strike a deal next week and just fuck over everyone's non-conference schedules that we're supposed to be playing. Like if you're an SEC team and you're supposed to, I don't know, say Georgia is supposed to play Clemson, if this deal is reached, then be like, oh no, Clemson's going to play Ohio State instead. Like think of that revenue that would be lost from the SEC. But that's the way that I think that they're going to play it. Who knows? We are not smart enough to sit at that table. We
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for Texas to be sitting at the table in the SEC. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be at the little kids' table off to the side.
Easy, Chad. I don't know if you were on that show or not, but I talked about, I think that this is going to be the boom that Texas needed. Nobody wanted to play in the Big 12. This is the opportunity to have the talent spread out, hopefully through the SEC, where they get some big contract deals. And Shane and I went over the divisions. It looks like Texas is probably going to land in Alabama's division. So that's going to be a rough few years. Okay,
so
we're going to learn
they could be the 8th best team in the SEC, or they could be a top 3 team in the Big 12. That sounds like it's really going to help recruiting.
Yeah, well, what it's going to help is the bottom line, and the guys, the guys that make the decisions are the ones that want something like this to happen. I'm sure that if you ask Steve Sarkisian, who's the head coach of Texas right now, when he just left Alabama, he was probably like, where can I go that I'll never have to play Nick Saban? Like, oh, Texas. Texas wouldn't sign up for a big non-conference game like that, and there's no chance of them being in the playoff. I'll go there. And he's there for, what, two months? And they're like, hey, Steve, guess what? We're going to the SEC. I mean, he'll probably be fired by then anyway, but
hey, ye have little faith. We've got to have it. We've been through enough coaches at this point since Mac Brown. We've got to have finally found somebody here.
You think so?
I hope so. Tom Herman, I really thought was going to be the answer. He had great offenses.
Steve Sarkisian did so great in USC, so great in Washington. So why not put him in the best conference in football and see how it goes?
Didn't he just get in trouble in Washington? I can't remember what actually happened in Washington. I thought he got in shit, and that's actually why he got canned from there.
Yeah, because that's also a good thing to bring into your school. That's never been known for Brian.
Texas knows how to bury things for football players, so it's okay.
Yeah, ask SMU.
Exactly.
Jeez. Bunch of fucking savages. Anything else stick out to you guys from the preseason? It looked like I might have just been a year too early on the Broncos, eh?
Yeah, Drew Lock played all right.
Yeah, I was say Drew had a couple of nice dimes there for sure.
What else? What else stood out to you guys? I was pretty surprised that Tom Brady played in a preseason game.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't watch it. I didn't think he would. I thought he was going to have the Kyle Trask show.
Yeah.
He didn't play a lot. He
doesn't let his backup play in the preseason.
Yeah.
What I was stood out for me was how little of the starters we actually saw. They cut a preseason game. They're only down to 3 games, and maybe I'm forgetting or having a bad memory here, but I feel like starters at least played a third of a quarter or something like that, and we didn't even see starters dressed most of the time. A lot of starters didn't even fly out to the games.
You got to remember too, though, that they're evaluating less talent and less time.
Yeah.
They don't have the bodies to run the 4 games. They dropped the rosters down to 90. You know who your starting 22 are. I'd say probably 80% of the league. I'm not risking one of those guys. I'm looking for every single person's backup. Right. They're probably going to play a quarter next week. There's only 3 exhibition games. So they'll get their dress rehearsal next week. But anybody that's a bubble guy or fighting to become a bubble guy, they have to get the look. So yeah, it makes sense to me why you're not dressing any of these guys for a week. I guess we'll call it week 1. I guess now. But yeah, like you have to get looks at every single player, and if you're losing a game, that's X amount of plays that you're not going to get on tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's fair, and I'm sure this next week coming, now that you're going to be dropping the guys from 80 or 90 to 80, or is it 85, whatever it is. I know you got to make some cuts this week. I'm pretty sure the cuts come out tomorrow. I think that you'll see the starters come in, maybe play a drive or two. But it's going to be that third preseason game for most of these guys that's when they get the work. Or some of the coaches just might be looking at like managing loads. And week 1, you could see some guys not play the kind of playing time you're used to. So, I mean, let's just use the Titans, for example, because the Titans are the first team that popped into my head because they suck the worst.
Fuck you. I was going to say because they're probably one of the better ones to think of.
No, actually, I was going to say it because of Bud Dupree. So if you're Mike Vrabel and Bud Dupree is typically going to play 70-75% of the snaps for week 1 of the regular season, doesn't it make sense to just give him 45% of the snaps? Get him a fresh 45 and then kind of ease his way in that way rather than try and waste him in a preseason game?
So I was talking about a guy who lost half of his year to an injury, who needs to see where his rehab spot actually is. He came to camp, he was on the COVID list, then he was on the PUP, then he came off the PUP. I mean, that specific example might be I would want to see a little bit more out of him.
Now,
But
that's
that's-
the other side of it. If I'm Mike Vrabel, and for exactly the reason you just said, you want to see where he's at, I'm not going to go play him against a guy's going to be washing dishes next week trying to make a name for himself.
Right.
If
So
I
they
don't
tried
know
to
that
make
knee's
a-
100% and you have some guy that clips him in the knee because he's trying to get seen and misses a block or does whatever because he doesn't know how to play football at this level, and that's the reason that Bud Dupree's not playing now,
No, and I think that I agree with Chad. I mean, honestly, like when it comes down to it, it's not like we're talking about a quarterback. I don't think week 1 any quarterback will play like, he'll come out early unless there's like a blowout or something like that. But if I'm the Steelers, and again, I'm just picking teams out random, but if I'm the Steelers, do I rush Najee Harris to get 30 carries in week 1?
nope.
I don't think so, man. I think that they're deep enough in the backfield. I think, you get a guy like Najee Harris, like 20 touches. You think that's probably a comfortable number, whether that's 15 carries and 5 catches. That sounds like a pretty good fantasy line. But you don't want to rush any of these guys into a position where you're forcing them to get hurt, because that's the kind of shit that's going to get a coach fired. Your owner just cut a $50-60 million check for Bud Dupree, and you try and rush him back into a preseason game and he wasn't quite ready, or you try and overuse him at the beginning of the regular season. I don't know, man. That's the kind of thing that's going to get you in big shit. And I honestly don't know who the Titans have week 1, but
Cardinals
okay,
open up at Arizona.
So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a home game, and it's an out of conference game. So a guy like Bud Dupree, what benefit other than to start 1-0 are you going to get playing him? If you lose that game, it's not a big deal, because you're losing an out of conference game, and you're not impressing your home crowd because it's not your home opener. So I would rather Bud Dupree fly out of the chute in the home opener.
Like, I hope Tampa limits the receivers. Like, that's my biggest hope.
And they have enough of them that they probably will.
The last thing I need is, like I said, some guy who can be washing dishes next week coming across the middle on Evans, Godwin, AB, Gronk. We have weapons everywhere. For some guy to make a name for himself and knock one of these guys out for long term, I don't want these guys playing. They all know how to play football. They're all Pro Bowlers. I guarantee you they're all in shape. So why would you risk any of that kind of stuff in these games that don't matter?
Right.
So does Tebow make it to week 1?
Not with that
Speaking
fucking
of-
block that loser.
Yeah.
through.
I was going to say, speaking of rushing players to get injured, we're talking about a guy who looks very out of place. I mean, I know he's an athlete at many different levels, but it does not look the part as a tight end in any way. And I know there's some tight ends that just can't block. That's just something that's not their MO. That's not something they're going to be ever asked to do. But that was pathetic. And I don't think he really brings another element to the field as far as route running, catching ability. I mean, it may be after the catch he has some sort of ability, but
If
getting
that guy
open.
if that guy makes the team, it's to sell tickets, not for any other reason, because he hasn't shown anything. And let's just say maybe this guy has shown that he's such a stud in practice. He just hasn't translated into anything that we're seeing. I don't. You'd think that some players would be coming out and defending him. I personally haven't heard of any player or any coach coming out and saying that Tebow's got it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
He's
this.
cut. There's no way that guy can make the team. And if he does, it's an insult to the rest of the tight ends in the league. When they had their little tight end in university, Tim Tebow wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, you think those guys were happy that he got signed? Not at all.
Right. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't see it. I think that it was a cool story. I think that maybe they did something like that thinking that Jacksonville might get Hard Knocks, but I don't know. It's hard to defend it. You want to give a guy like Urban Meyer the benefit of the doubt, but I wouldn't be giving it to him and just move on. Well, what does Chad always say? Next topic? Next topic.
Yeah.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah. So I don't know, boys. What else is standing out to you for football? We got about 4 minutes left here.
I like that kid out in San Diego, that Canadian kid, Palmer,
Okay.
Chris
Yeah.
Palmer.
Yeah.
He came from Tennessee, and it looks like from what I saw, he can play at this level, which also makes me realize how bad was his quarterback at Tennessee. Playing in the SEC, he probably didn't get looks because he did fall.
Mhm.
But they have Mike Williams there. They have Keenan Allen. He doesn't have to be the guy. He can get brought along properly. And Justin Herbert's already talked about how good he really is. He's a big body receiver too, built like the other two. And that just gives that offense another weapon. I think he had 6 catches on 7 targets yesterday.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
I haven't seen any of the games, so I'm just I'm taking your guys' word on it.
Well, one other thing that stood out for me, that I've been tooting the Tua horn, and that was not a good game for Tua, was it? Looked pretty bad.
No, he
was
fucking
very
sucked.
looked pretty indecisive. Got chased down in the backfield a couple times. His throws looked very slow. They did not look high speed, which are high velocity at all, which is pretty crazy. But it didn't look like he knew what he was doing out there in the field. It just didn't look like the Tua we saw at Alabama. So that stood out for me. That was terrible. Maybe Jacksonville actually does have something on defense. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Jacksonville's who you think they are, and Tua Tagovailoa is exactly who everybody thinks he is, except for you. Yeah.
What about the Dolphins as a whole? Are we cheering for the Dolphins this year?
If the Dolphins had a different quarterback, I think that they'd be a playoff contender. Mike Gesicki, man. I think that guy.
That guy can ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing well in that game. He had a couple of nice catches.
I
Tweeted after the catch that I like for all the stuff I saw with him.
Yeah,
He was running violently.
Mike Gesicki and what's the guy from Chicago? Cole Kmet. I think those are 2 tight ends that are going to emerge this year. But
And Ferkser. You talked highly about Ferkser, and I like hearing it.
yeah, sticky fingers.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing him.
Yeah, so I don't know. We're gonna see how things go. Thursday we got. Have we confirmed, Liam? Yeah, we've confirmed. Okay, Thursday we got Hot Wheels coming on to talk about her. Is it her first shot at the belt?
Yeah, it's like her. It was supposed to be happening before she got
Oh,
injured. She broke her hand. So
Yeah.
it's she's going again for it now. So we'll see how that goes. Rough and rowdy. So
Oh,
I-
one more
I-
thing.
I will say before you go,
Yeah.
she looks fucking yoked.
Yeah?
They are not the same physique. I can tell you that much for sure.
no.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention before, I know we're getting off, we're ending the show here, but football, Texans, they just can't do anything right, eh? Their wide receiver that is traded for just goes down with an injury too. It's Kiki Cutie season down there in Houston now.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I don't know, man.
Maybe
There's a
Deshaun's asking to go to jail now. It's like, it can't be worse than this. Just lock me up.
Just terrible.
Fuck.
Love watching it burn though. Love being a witness
Yeah.
for it.
It's nice to know the teams that are going to be vying for the first overall pick. So, I mean, Spencer Radler's either going to play for Houston or Detroit next year. So, provided that's the way things go, we are literally like 2 weeks away from college football starting. Pretty pumped about that. I'm actually pretty into the CFL right now. NFL, now that
Whoa.
the preseason's going, like there's always something happening. So I do feel like a lot of our upcoming shows, probably until February, are going to be pretty dominated by football here. What do you think, Chad?
I can't wait. I've been waiting. I've been waiting 9 months for this.
Yeah. So Chad is about to birth us a new segment for the show. So he's 9 months away. Yeah. Anyway, boys, I'm gonna go back. It's it's starting to get a little dark here at the cottage. I'm sure you guys have noticed. I've got friggin' super dark in the room here. So
You're so sunburned, by the way.
Look at that!
I
You
know.
have sunglasses, sunburned.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, boys. That's what we're doing. We're out here. We're partying. We're drinking beer. We're getting sun. I was out
As
on the
long as
boat
it's
today.
toboggan, we're okay.
Hey, it's always toboggan beer, Joe Cool's takeout, and playing on Cool Bet. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
boys, cheers. Chad, enjoy your tea and whatever else is going on in your house right now.
Yes.
And